I didn't have a desk until I was 30. It wasn't because I didn't have a job. It wasn't because I was some kind of standing desk balancing guru. I just genuinely never had a job that needed a desk. So, oh, loser. It's 1999, and this was my office. You get extra points if you know where this is, by the way. Anyone? No one's from the northeast. Okay, good. This is where it all happened for me for about 8 years, during the hours of 9 and 6, Monday to Saturday, 10 till 5 on a Sunday. This is where you could find me. And it was 1999. This is where most of retail happened. This is where you did your shopping. So, since we're talking about mobile, 1999, this was my phone. Who else had this phone? Everyone had the same phone at the same time, didn't they, in the early... That's how it went. You could do pretty much 4 things on this phone. You could call people, you could text, although do you remember it only held like 20 text messages and you had to delete them, which was always really painful. You could play Snake, and every single other person literally had this phone. And it was red, which was totally awesome. Okay, back to the desk thing. 2007, I moved to London. I joined Accenture. Now, I'm sure you'll know this if you're a consultant in the room. You don't get a desk. They just don't give you one. You hot desk, which is kind of another word for balancing on the edge of someone else's, or working in the side room of some kind of warehouse. I think I've shared a desk with quite a few of the people in this room, actually, in my Accenture days. Unfortunately, I never had the chance to navigate on a tiny surfboard, but yeah, sad times. I moved to London. I was, oh, my slide's gone a bit loony. I was living in the city, therefore had to buy a BlackBerry. Didn't do much either. I could make calls, I could text. I think it had, I started getting my emails on it, and it had this weird thing called WAP, which no one really knew what it did. Most excitingly, it was pink. This was literally my favourite phone. I was that person. So, 2010, I joined notonthehighstreet.com, and I finally got my own desk. I swear, I haven't made this up. I took this photograph the day I started and sent it to all my Accenture friends in like a smug way, like, haha, look at my massive desk. That's why it's really tidy. By this point, like most people, I gave in to the Apple revolution, and I'd started checking what time the trains were, checking the weather, chatting on Skype, updating Facebook, tweeting. So that brings me up to today. So this is my desk. This was last week. And you can see, I can't even tell you what all of these things do. Like, literally, they could probably make your dinner. But suffice to say, they put that little Nokia completely to shame. What I do know about all of these devices is that the River Island website works on all of them. Told you, sort of made sense. So riverisland.com and mobile. When I joined the business last year, we knew quite a few things about mobile. We had a mobile site, we had a website, and we had apps. We had a very highly successful and highly rated iOS app for iPhone and one for iPad. We ticked the boxes. We were good. No. Site wasn't particularly well optimized for a tablet. It was just a scaled down version of the main site. It worked all right, but sometimes the nav was a bit unreliable. You couldn't always click. We felt a bit restricted on the desktop site because we wanted to make some changes, but they didn't really work for tablets, so we were a bit restricted there. And the mobile site was very iOS focused. I think we loved iOS. They had an app and they had a mobile site, but there wasn't really anything for those people that didn't have that device. So, why responsive? I think this time last year I probably would have showed you a slide like this. It's probably something that a lot of you can recognise. Simple device split for traffic. Most people see something quite similar. You get high traffic and high conversion on your desktop site. You get high traffic and low conversion on mobile. You get low traffic but really high conversion and really good AOV on a tablet. So probably we could have just built a tablet optimized site and fulfilled our goals. Nah, we weren't going to do that. So we don't really report on those device sites anymore. We report on these 9. And it's probably not going to change. New devices are being released all the time. Even if you consider iOS, there's more device sizes, more device types, more people like me hanging on to iOS 6 like crazy, keeping out old devices, buying new ones. There's a huge amount of fragmentation in the market. It's not just about 3 things. And so really, I would say our biggest driver for responsive was development. We had 2 code bases, which was becoming quite difficult to handle. The thought of adding a 3rd one for tablet was a bit worrying. We were struggling to keep the mobile site in sync as it was. We would build a feature on the desktop site, and then we would have to then go and do it again on the mobile site. More and more of those types of code bases felt a little bit out of control. I guess the other thing is that we really did want to make mobile a key consideration. And as long as the mobile site remained separate from the main desktop, it was always really, really tempting to de-scope the mobile site because you're so focused on getting a specific feature or some huge kind of business-changing project like Click and Collect over the line, and it's like, oh, well, we'll do the mobile site afterwards. And actually, it was a huge part of our business, and so we needed to really focus on mobile. And it wasn't really just about developers and code. Our graphics team were maintaining 2 sets of CMS templates, as well as the CMSs for the apps. And that's a massive job for a brand like ours, which is hugely driven by imagery and content. The other thing was, it was time for a refresh. We felt that the high street online had become very similar and all a bit of a blur of white background with black text. And if you kind of looked at a variety of sites, it became really difficult to see the difference between one site and another. And we really wanted to reassert our identity. This project really came from the team. I think the development and designs teams really wanted to be innovative. They were champing at the bit to try out some new techniques and do more than just create the same old stuff week on week, you know, churn out a landing page. Or exciting as that is for the customer, the development teams were getting a bit tired of it. So this really was driven by their excitement for responsive technology. So it wasn't really one reason that we went responsive. I can't say, oh, it was all about conversion or anything like that. What it really was is building a strategic foundation for what we want to achieve. So with that in mind, here is some of the things that we learned along the way. Started with the bad ones. These are things that we probably have learned since we did responsive design. I would say number 1 for us was to bring the business with you. It's easy for technical people to understand responsive. It's in their blogs, they talk about it with their peers, it's, you know, it's part of their day-to-day life. Similarly for some of the graphics team, they're immersed in that. And yes, we did the whole business case thing and we got executive buy-in, but actually, by the time the project went live, a lot of people had forgotten what we were doing or just didn't really understand it in the first place. I seriously have lost count of the amount of people that have come up to me and said, do you know the site looks different if I resize my browser? And we stopped supporting IE 6 and 7 during the project, partly because the technology just didn't work with responsive, and partly data-driven. It just was making pence, and the developer effort to keep that up was ridiculous. But half of the business were like hugely shocked by this. Like, it really made a massive difference. And that's because parts of the business were still stuck on IE7. You know, they either hadn't upgraded or couldn't upgrade, and they found it really shocking that we no longer supported those browsers. Oh, I've lost a bit of my slide again. This was that you still need to focus. For us, you know, we had a very tight deadline. We set ourselves a huge challenge with this project. And we had to focus our test effort. We took maybe the top 10 browser, operating system, device combos. Otherwise, I think literally we would have been testing for the rest of our natural lives. The site might still also look a bit rough on Opera on Linux, but that's life. Design different. So this was more about tech, more than about tech. This was a homepage that we designed in the second week of responsive, which is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the nicest homepages I think we've come up with. It looks really stylish and really classy, but had anybody thought about how this was going to look on mobile? Nope. This was a really late Friday night. You know, it's a detailed image, it's very wide, it just wasn't going to work on mobile. And so educating the designers, pushing them to design responsively up front was a huge challenge for us, which I think we've now nailed. This is fun. Stuff breaks a lot. As I said, the technology teams really drove this project, and they chose some technologies that were quite cutting edge and quite innovative. And you know what? They were great. They worked really well in IE11, in Safari 6, in Chrome. Did they work in anything else? Nope. We had some great custom checkboxes. We had custom arrows. Didn't work very well. We tried to do live text, which we still do want to do, but we really struggled to position it responsively. We tried to use scalable vector graphics. Didn't work very well on old versions of Safari or on the Android native browser. And so we had to regress, which was disappointing, but you know, we've learned those types of lessons. These screenshots were actually from our CIO's mobile phone on the day of launch. It was lovely. You can see that they're like paced like 3 minutes apart from each other. This was one of about 100 that he sent me. Good fun. This is a kind of boring one, but very true. I think we had always planned to really heavily monitor the site and look to our analytics packages to inform us on what was going on. Except it didn't really work that way. Conversion in fashion retail is very fluid. We launched the site in probably the worst possible week from a conversion point of view, third week in January when everyone's run out of Christmas money. It was really difficult to attribute anything to responsive. I think looking back, we probably would have been a bit more comfortable if we tested this with real people. It was all right in the end, and actually, you know, people have received it really well, but I think it would have saved us quite a few sleepless nights. Okay, so on to the good stuff. Our stats are looking really good, which is a bit of a relief. It is hard to use conversion as a metric for us, but we are kind of looking year on year at what growth looks like, same week last year, those types of things, because conversion is so driven for us by the promotional activity, sale, what products are available, what's going on with Rihanna, those types of campaigns. So we need to look year on year and understand that on a macro level, we're improving conversion, which is the main thing. We've also seen a really good uplift on devices where previously we wouldn't have seen any conversion whatsoever. So the likes of your Kindle Fires, your Windows Surface devices on IE11, things like that. So that's a significant win for us. Oh, wow, that is actually working. I couldn't get that to work earlier, that GIF. There's a few scare stories before we went live, and a lot of people said this to me, that, oh, your performance is going to be impacted, you're going to slow down the site, conversion's going to tank because your whole product page won't load. It didn't happen. There was absolutely no impact on performance. Oh, I've lost a bit of my slides again. This is like a guessing game. We love our new design. But we're not precious about it anymore. I think we broke nearly everything in the course of the responsive project, and it was all right. We'll probably break more stuff. We'll probably have Friday night panics about parallax on iPad for the next 6 weeks. But we're pushing ourselves to be better all the time, and I think it really shows on the site, and we're really proud of the way the site looks at the moment, and we're continually developing the look and feel. This is a little bit of a strange one, I know, but I can't stress enough how much responsive design has really changed the team. We made the site ourselves, we didn't outsource it, we did it in-house. They achieved a huge amount in such a small time, and they are justifiably incredibly proud of what they've done. Interestingly enough, recruitment became much easier once we had something to talk about that we were doing very innovatively. And we're getting better developers. We're getting brilliant guys into the team who are really keen to do different things and push the boundaries. So in an environment as fast-paced as ours, we really need those people, and responsive designers let us, you know, have something to say to those people. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but responsive design isn't really just a site for us. It's not even really just a framework. It's the foundation for the future of River Island. Will we be responsive forever? I don't know. Will Apple bring out some fancy new handset in a completely different viewport, which will break the site? I have no idea. In 2 years' time, will we have to build something so you can shop in 3D augmented reality with your Google Glasses synced to your iOS iPhone, which also updates your wardrobe app with the things you've bought? I have no clue. Will anyone shop on Opera and Linux? I don't know. What we do know that we will do, is to keep moving. We will keep innovating, we'll keep being passionate about what our customers do and how they choose to shop. We will all cheer and dance around the office when we stop having to deal with IE8 as well. So I'm going to leave you with this, which is the same photo again of my slightly messy desk. But I think this more than anything really indicates the world that we are currently operating in. It is incredibly easy to become distracted by all of this. But we know for a fact that each and every one of these devices is owned by one of our customers. Shopping like this is what customers are doing, and it's about time we caught up.